Imagine you're visiting a zoo when you see an entire pack of monkeys running amok, or two vicious tigers destroying everything in their path. Sometimes animals decide they've had enough and don't accept a life in an enclosure. You would be surprised by the detail put into their escape plans. From an orangutan who escaped just to prove it could, to a pack of monkeys that later terrorized a town. Let's get started. Before we get on with the top 10 biggest zoo escapes, make sure you support us and subscribe to our channel on the bottom right. After that, hit the bell button below and we're good to go.
Audio Jungle.
10. Orangutan escapes to get revenge on another orangutan. What a savage, only escaping to seek revenge on his enemy. The world-renowned San Diego Zoo was home to a savvy orangutan named Ken Allen, who managed to outsmart his keepers several times over the span of multiple months. Ken Allen loved to climb the retaining wall that separated him from the public by using a series of barely visible handholds. Ken Allen tried and managed to escape so many times that a fan club formed, growing with each successful attempt. The first time he made his bold escape, he didn't leave the actual zoo. No, he settled for curiously wandering around the zoo. As if he was a visitor, he went around staring at the other animals. The next time Ken Allen ventured out of his enclosure, his intentions were much more mischievous. He seized the opportunity to pay a visit to his arch-enemy, a fellow orangutan named Otis. Taunting the other orangutan from the other side of the enclosure, Ken Allen merely threw rocks at him. The third time Ken Allen once again pulled a Houdini act, he stumbled upon a crowbar left behind by a zoo employee, but thankfully he didn't use it. By now, Ken Allen's escapes were baffling zookeepers. Knowing he was under watch, he stopped trying to escape, not even falling for a ruse where zoo employers dressed as tourists. Eventually, the zoo spent $40,000 to hire expert rock climbers to figure out how he did and to fix the enclosure. 9. Reverse escape. In 2013, Nandakanan, India and nearby areas were terrorized by a male tiger. After several days of panic among the local villagers, the zoo decided to take matters into their own hands. On one Monday night, they left their emergency door of the tiger safari open. The idea was the tiger would be drawn to one of the female tigers inside the zoo. The zoo was home to 24 tigers, 15 of them female. The crazy thing is that this plan worked. At night, the wild tiger sauntered through the emergency gate, which the zookeepers promptly closed after. The tiger? It just made himself at home next to the female tigers. For the next weeks to come, he was content to be catered to. He ate his meals, napped, paced, and mated with the female tigers. Then one day, it turned out that he was the love 'em and leave 'em type. Just as casually as he had arrived, he made his leave. He climbed a 2-story security wall. You can even see his pug marks on the walls. 8. Pair of llamas on the lam. On one sunny Friday afternoon in 2015, a pair of therapy llamas went on the lam after a show-and-tell session, making a break for the crowded afternoon streets of Sun City, Arizona. Chaos ensued. This led to a 2-hour chase and a social media storm. Everyone pitched in to help recapture the llamas: zookeepers, animal control professionals, police officers, and even random passerby. A helicopter captured the high-speed pursuit as people raced after the llamas as the animals darted through traffic and escaped to the suburbs. You will never guess how they were eventually caught. It wasn't a zookeeper, a police officer, or an animal control pro. It was a local cowboy. The cowboy had joined the pursuit, and using his lasso, he wrangled the llamas. Both animals were returned to their home exhausted from their chase, but unharmed. Before we continue with an animal who evaded capture for 8 whole years, just hit the like button to fully support us. 7. Flamingo evades capture for 8 years. This is one unusual escape. In 2005, a flamingo saw a chance to escape his zoo in Kansas and make a break for it. Now, you would think a bird as distinguishable and brightly coloured as a flamingo would be relatively easier to capture. In this flamingo's case, you would be wrong, because it took a whopping 8 years before anyone spotted the flamingo once again. A long way from his Kansas zoo, he was found 650 miles away off Texas's Gulf Coast, and he had a lady friend, another escapee. Somewhere along the way, he met and mated a female who had escaped from a natural preserve in Mexico. Both organizations' response to finding the flamingos again, they agreed to let the happy birds live out their lives in freedom together and wish them good luck. 6. Nala the lion. In a more light-hearted escape attempt, meet Nala the lion. It was the year 1997 and heavy rains and floods had just damaged the lion enclosure at Jungleland, a 7-acre zoo in Kissimmee, Florida. The 2-year-old Nala took advantage of the workers trying to fix the cage and made a break for it. Prior to this incident, Nala was described as sociable and laid back. She was also declawed. But with her missing, she posed a threat, especially if she became panicked. However, Nala was an unexpected case. She came from generations who had been raised in captivity, and she tried to return to her enclosure. Observing her from the air, officials caught sight of her several times, pacing near the zoo's perimeter fence. They also saw her 100 yards near the cage, perched atop a toppled tree. However, every time zookeepers tried to get close to her, Nala would panic and run away again. She was eventually spotted by a search helicopter and tranquilized and safely led back to her enclosure. 5. Wolf pup climbs tree. There is a common belief that wolves can't climb trees. Wolves are known to be agile and capable of jumping from platform to platform. And while they can scale steep rock faces, they simply aren't talented climbers. In fact, one of the recommended ways to survive a wolf attack is to climb a tree. So imagine the Los Angeles Zoo's surprise in 1979 when their half-grown wolf pup, Virginia, who had made 2 previous escape attempts before, successfully scaling a tree trunk and walking out onto a thick tree branch. She barely bothered to give the zoo a last glance before she disappeared into the wilderness. She was never captured again. 4. Jealous rhino's broken-hearted escape. Animals are just like us. They get jealous, and apparently they get into love triangles. Meet Satara, an 18-year-old 2-ton white rhino at South Australia's Monarto Zoo. On a Sunday night, he made his escape to find his wayward mate, Uhura. According to the chief executive, Satara was like a teenager who can't control himself. He added that in the grip of testosterone, he had to get out and try to show his wild oats. By getting out, he meant that the rhino, in an impressive feat of strength, smashed through the steel bars of his pen. Prior to the incident, Satara had never caused any problems for the zoo. He had been captured in Africa's Kruger National Park and brought over 6 years before as part of a captive breeding program. The following Monday morning, the open-range zoo was thrown into chaos as they searched for Satara. It wasn't until the zoo employed a helicopter that they managed to locate the lost rhino. In the meantime, visitors were kept out of the zoo. Once Satara was found, he was shot with a tranquilizer dart and safely brought back to his enclosure. It's believed that his bold, determined escape was driven by the fact that another bull was with the female the day before. 3. 2 tigers go on a rampage. Surprisingly, the majority of animals who escape don't end up causing that much damage. In this tragic case, however, 2 Sumatran tigers wreaked havoc on whatever crossed their way. Both females aged 18 months, the 2 tigers escaped after a landslide brought on by days of torrential rain damaged their enclosure at the Sinka Zoo on Borneo Island. The first victim they encountered was their 47-year-old zookeeper, who was later found dead close to the enclosure. His body was nearly mangled, dotted with bite wounds and scratches. Following the tiger's wake, a number of dead animals were left behind, including a monkey and ostrich. People in the town of Singkawang, West Kalimantan, were immediately told to go inside on lockdown. What was next was a large-scale hunt. A cage with animal prey was even brought in an attempt to lure the tigers back. Officials used drones, which eventually tracked down one of the tigers in the dense forest surrounding the zoo. 2. Guerrilla partners in crime help each other escape. She's opportunist, the Los Angeles Zoo curator said about Evelyn, a 24-year-old female gorilla who is the zoo's notorious escape artist. Evelyn made it at least 5 times over the years. This could be blamed on the zoo's aging gorilla habitat, which was initially meant to house bears, and the blame could also be placed on Evelyn's partner in crime, the equally mischievous Jim the gorilla. The 2 incredibly resourceful animals' disappearing acts include Evelyn jumping on one of her fellow gorillas' backs to climb over the exhibit wall. On another occasion, she used a stray vine to swing across the lengthy 12-foot wide moat. To their credit, the zoo repeatedly raised the habitat's walls, but each time Evelyn found a way to rise up to the challenge. In another escape, Evelyn got a running head start, jumped, and managed to get over. The zookeepers tried to lure her back with snacks, but eventually tagged her with a tranquilizer dart before collapsing in a men's restroom. Another incident had her trying to make a break for freedom, but stopping to swat a bystander's bottom. Now, let's look at Jim, a 12-year-old 350-pound gorilla who once ripped a door off its tracks clean off to squeeze through the opening. Jim also once went ahead and jumped straight over a 12-foot wall. One of the times Evelyn escaped, she spent the time exploring the zoo. She sniffed and poked flowers, she chased butterflies, and most notably, she played a high-tension game of hide-and-seek with the zookeepers. She even paid a visit to her fellow zoo animals such as orangutans, elephants, and giraffes. Meanwhile, the zoo was going in a panic. 24 security personnel attendants and curators went on maximum alert. People are cleared out of the gift stands and restrooms and urged to head toward the front parking lot. Because they feared Evelyn was resourceful enough to try and free other large animals, so all the other animals, such as bears and big cats, were put on lockdown. 1. Monkeys band together. In one of the most elaborate zoo escapes of all, in 1935, a pack of rhesus monkeys banded together to escape and enjoy several days of freedom. They had even a ringleader, a monkey called Capone. They made their grand escape when their keeper turned his back on them. There was a board between their enclosure and the exit. The monkeys took advantage quickly and walked over. They then went totally bananas in a nearby town. Phone calls overwhelmed the local law enforcement as people reported monkeys crawling around their backyards and houses. That was all for today, guys. Let us know in the comments what you thought of these daring zoo escapes. Which one of these animals did you think is the most impressive? Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can keep creating videos for you. Till the next one.